Good day and Happy New Year. It is the 1st of January 2024, and obviously I wanted to turn the calendar and put our new calendar up, so that has been done, which is great. And I mentioned last week about doing some micro weeding. So I've just done a bit in the broad bean beds and also in the garlic bed, because what I'm trying to do this growing year is keep on top of weeds in various beds. Now, I know we have weeds everywhere at the moment, I appreciate that. But what I'm trying to do is ensure that where we've got new things growing for this growing year, I make sure I keep on top of those beds, so do micro weeding early on so that those weeds do not have time to take hold. So that's all I've done this morning, and that's all I'm going to do today. I have also done by the polytunnel, there's where we put the gazanias and some primulas in troughs last year. One of those troughs I've given a weed, that was rather easy. The other one I'm going to have to redo the whole trough. I'm going to have to take the gazania and the primula plant out and redo them, because some of those grasses have taken hold in there. They're right next to an area that is quite grassy. My fault, nobody else's. And those grasses have taken hold in the trough. So instead of just doing cursory weeding for those and nipping out the tops, I'm going to redo that whole trough. So yeah, I'll most probably get on and do that after we finish filming. So that's it for today. It's just a quick one. I just wanted to change the calendar and do a little bit of micro weeding, and that is what I have done. The macro weeding, is it macro? Anyway, the major weeding, that can wait for another day. And I think, though of course I'm never sure about this, I think down here, the bed in front of the shed is going to be one of the beds that I get on with this week, because I do want to get 2 of the rose plants in to this area. So it would be good to get those 2 roses in before they start growing and come out of dormancy, because at the moment they will be in their dormancy, even if we can see a few buds developing. And in fact, as I look around the site, I can see a few buds developing already on a few of our fruit bushes and a few other things. And in fact, the primulas I was talking about, they have quite I can see new growth coming at the center of the primula leaf rows, if you like. So yeah, things are beginning to grow. But of course, we're just about to get into what are traditionally our cold months in the UK, which is January and February. They're normally our colder months. So whatever we've got growing at the moment, I think they may be stunted over the coming weeks with the colder weather we are forecast to have. But we shall wait and see. Right, I'm going to leave it there. As I said at the beginning, Happy New Year. Let's hope for a good new year for us all in our growing spaces, our gardens and our allotments. And for, again, peace around the world. That's really what we could do with. Less people making money out of division and separation. That's what we could do with. Right, see you again very soon. I think we'll be sorting this bed, as I say. Bye. Good day. We had a bit of sun earlier, and I was hoping to get down to the allotment this afternoon. It's about 11:30 now, but it's rather clouded over, and as you can see, well, you can't because it's got lighter, but we've had quite a bit of rain all of a sudden. Oh, look at the catkins. Oh, on the willow. Just gorgeous. So I think if I do get to the plot today, I'm not sure I'll be doing very much. I think I need to do some watering. What just looking out here and concentrating more on our garden rather than other people's, the Cordyline Australis on the left did actually have some blooms on it, and you can see that the one on the right has got blooms and berries on it. And it's really interesting that that one on the right has not had its berries eaten by wood pigeons or collard doves, as the one up the front has, and the one on the left has, and one just behind the one on the left as well, which you can't see. I don't know why really. Maybe they just don't like the taste of those berries on the right. But as they're all from the same mother plant, I don't really know why. Just looking out here, I think we're going to have to get our local arborists back to cut down the eucalyptus again, and I think we need some tree work done in our pear tree because it's absolutely covered in ivy, though we do have squirrels nesting in there and birds nesting in there, and also we believe we've got bats in there as well. So you know, we need to be wary of taking off the ivy completely because it's a habitat. And down there, I'm not sure if you can see between the cabbage palms, between the Cordyline Australises, there is actually some blossom on our cherry tree. It's been like that since Christmas Day, which is, what's that, sort of 2 weeks, no, week and a half now, isn't it? Something like that. Maybe it will clear up later. Not sure if you can see that plane going through the clouds. It's going into Heathrow. I can see it's leaving a sort of trail behind it. And people sort of ask where Vivi is sometimes. Vivi is right over there, 17 miles that way. But yeah, maybe it will clear up a little bit later. I mean, it's much better now than it was in terms of rain, like 5 minutes ago. Anyway, if I see you at the plot later, I do. But I think I will say goodbye now, just in case the weather turns... Oh, there's a bee. Yeah, just in case the weather turns more wintry. See you very soon. Good day, but more of a oh dear. Storm Henk has ripped that door off. I think these are, my guess is they're nailed in. Let's have a look. No, they're screwed in. God, that must have, look, there's screws. That must have been some force. I guess having the mesh up here, the wind can get in here and it just sort of pushed these open. I had that brick holding them shut at the bottom, but obviously it wasn't enough. Gosh, look how they've bent. Can you see that? Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. I'm sure I'll be able... Well, I suppose what I can do, can't I, is I can take these out, move them down, take that one out, move it up, and then screw the door back on. So so that's really good. The annoying thing is I lost the bit up here. There's a bit of wood that sort of slips when that's shut, it slips over, and I think that would have helped. But you know what, now I've thought about moving these what are they called? They're not buckles, they're not wedges, they're hinges. If I move those hinges, that will be able to be usable again, which is fine. You can see there's a few things that are blown around as well. Hey ho, the damage from Storm Henk. I'm just going to have a quick look at the greenhouse and the poly. I had cleaned and washed out the big thermos flask that had the mulled cider in at the weekend for our Christmas social, and wanted to bring them back down because they were nice and dry, because I allow them to dry at home and then bring them back down. So they're in our communal shed again, which is absolutely great. Will be used for our work social in a couple of weeks, and then for our wassail, which is going to be lovely. I hope, I'm sure it will be, it usually is. And I thought, with Storm Henk having gone through, rather taking me by surprise, and I think the force of the wind rather took forecasters by surprise as well in some ways. It was certainly much stronger around us than had been forecast. I thought I'd just have a look around the site, and I had a look around the site after I'd taken the thermos flasks, came to my plot, and that door has come off. I mean, what force, you know, that wind was just so strong to have literally, I mean, I know that wood is old, but to have literally ripped that door off the hinges and bent the screws, I mean, yeah, that's pretty strong. So I don't think we're due any sort of major winds over the coming week or so. So I think I'll see if I can get on with that at the weekend. And as I say, I think just by moving the hinges, it'll most probably do the job that I need for, and repair that for another year, you know. So yeah, that's okay. And nothing in the greenhouse has been damaged, and the polytunnel's absolutely fine. The 1940s shed, the door was open, so the wind must have got in there and opened the door. And it needs to have been quite a lot of wind, because that door is actually quite a bit stiff against the ground. So I don't think, yeah, it wasn't anyone going in there. I'm absolutely sure it was the wind, because it doesn't have a bolt on it or a lock on it at all. It's just a door. So yeah, few things scattered about. I found a couple of things on my plot, which two of them I know whose they are. One of them I've got no idea. It's a lid of something. It might be a lid of a wormery, I think, due to the shape. It's sort of rectangular. I think it may be a wormery, and it's got clips on it at the side. So ours has got those sort of some type of clips at the side as well. So I can't think who here has got a wormery. So I'll just put it on our WhatsApp group. But yeah, that's it. I just thought I'd bring those thermos flasks down, and then when I saw the door, I thought, yeah, I'll tell you about that as well. So there we are. Hey ho, worse things happen at sea and on land. See you very soon. Bye. Good day. Just looking at how these Mizuna are doing in the greenhouse, and yeah, I'm really happy with them. They're growing slowly, as one would expect at this time of year, but having these in the greenhouse is really helping them grow. And I have to say, with the sun shining as it is at the moment in the greenhouse, it's rather pleasant. In fact, it's quite pleasant outside, but there is a breeze, and it's noticeably cooler outside than it is in the greenhouse, which one would expect. The polytunnel is a little bit warmer than the ambient temperature, but as I've said before, the polytunnel really keeps sort of wind chill off. But yeah, I think we'll be able to start picking from maybe this one in a few weeks, just taking a few leaves to put onto the top of maybe a carrot salad, and give it a bit of pepperiness. That would be lovely. And looking at our sweet peas, we've still only got 2 sweet peas. Not sure if you can see those, but there's only 2 up so far. This one here has not grown very much, but it's on the way. And yeah, that definitely needs a water. Just putting my finger in, that peat-free compost definitely needs a water. And I've also taken the lid off these. These are the miniature rose cuttings that we took maybe about 2 months ago. So I think there were 17. We've now got, there's 2 that have died here, so I've taken those out. 1 died over there, 2 have died here, I think 3 have died in here. But you can see that some do have growth. I mean, can you see that? Tiny bit of growth there. There's a tiny bit of growth just there. So I'm hopeful that the remaining ones here, which are 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe these will grow on. Fingers crossed. They've got the cold months of January and February to do yet though. And of course they are kept covered. I just put the cover up here for the moment. That's going back on. I've had these covers for quite a few years now and they're beginning to get quite brittle. They've been well used. So, and then under here, I don't think we've got any germination from our parsley or coriander yet. No, nothing there. I mean, the seed was very old seed, so maybe nothing will grow, but you know, it is the coldest months of the year. Right, let's just have a quick chat about seeds. Seeds then. We're now into January and I know a lot of us are thinking, oh, we'd love to get sowing some seeds. And of course, I've already done some seeds with the coriander and the parsley, though that was old seed, very old seed. And even though it had been kept in our fridge to extend the viability of the seed and the life of the seed, it was pretty old seed, so I'm not sure it will come to anything. But that's a bit of a nothing ventured, nothing gained sowing. But in terms of what I'm going to be sowing for growing this year, I've decided I'm not going to do any sowings at home. I've got the greenhouse now and I have the poly for another season. So I've decided that all sowing is either going to be direct in the ground with beans and peas and things like that. And some seeds, maybe chard, that type of thing. But anything else is going to be either sown in the greenhouse or in the polytunnel, or it might be sown in the greenhouse and then brought on in the polytunnel. So I'm not going to be rushing to sow tomatoes or peppers or aubergine, and certainly not chili, you know, because of my Barrett's esophagus that I have with my throat. We don't grow chili, so it's not something that we grow. But in terms of all the seeds that we're going to be sowing, yeah, home is going to be pretty clear of seeds, I think. I might put a pot of 4 aubergine seeds on a windowsill, but I won't be doing trays of tomatoes and peppers at home. They will be done in a couple of months' time down here. So most of the seed sowing is going to be done down here, and a lot of it is going to be direct in the ground. So the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want, oh, there's a big plane going over. No, it's not too big, is it? I don't want to sow at home if I can sow here, and with the greenhouse I can definitely sow here. And B, even though we have that urge to sow at this time of year, you know, very often when we sow seeds indoors at this time of year, they will get leggy, and if they get leggy, they are unlikely to grow well. So I think I'm going to be looking at sowing seeds maybe middle to the end of March. Some hardy seeds like parsley and coriander, I'll most probably do a sowing before then, but most of our seeds are going to be sort of put into that little bed of compost in March or April this year, I think, down here. If we do some aubergines, it will, as I say, be a small pot at home, but I've never been lucky growing aubergines, so, you know, maybe one more time. But yeah, you know, I see so many people now sort of saying, oh, I've got my seed trays ready, I need to get my compost, I've got all my seeds, I'm going to be sowing next week. Do have a think about when you can put whatever you are sowing out, because the issue is that you might bring them on well at home, you know, and they'll be ready to go out. But if they're ready to go out in March, when in the UK we're still having frosts and we're still likely to have cold weather, you know, I think it was in 2018 we got that beast from the east, which was really, really cold weather for a long period, like 2 weeks or something. You know, those plants that you're bringing on from the sowings that you've done at home, they need to go into the ground at some point. And if they can't go into the ground when they need to go into the ground, they're not going to do well. So really do plan when you're going to sow your seeds, and be careful and have a look at your last frost date, so that you know that when something is ready to go out, it has a good chance and isn't going to get bitten by frost. And around here, you know, our frost dates can vary quite a bit, and I know around different zones, of course, they vary significantly. So yeah, even though we have that desire and that rush to sow seeds, really do think about whether it's the right time to sow it. And for me, I'm going to be holding off for a few months yet, I think. Certainly in our tomatoes and in our peppers and, you know, that type of thing. With some lettuce, some hardier lettuce seeds, we might get away with sowing a few in February, and I'll tell you about that when we get there. Anyway, that's it. It's Sunday morning. The planes are taking off over us from Heathrow. But actually, apart from that, it's pretty quiet down here. And I think I'm just going to sit here for a moment and have a look out at the winter allotment, because my allotment does look very wintry at the moment, even in this glorious sun. But I am making plans. So hopefully next week I'll have a day or two that I'll be able to get down here. And also, I was hoping to do some work down here on Friday, but because we had so much rain on Thursday, I mean, absolutely so much rain, the ground here was sodden and hadn't drained away yet. And in fact, when I walked down to the lower part of the site here about half an hour ago, the lower end is much more wet than the top end up here, so a lot has drained down, but we've still got quite sticky soil, and I want to be turning some soil at the moment with a new fork I've got from is it Berry and Bird. So oh, I got dripped on, but it's too sort of cloddy at the moment to do that, too wet to do that, so that will have to wait for another week as well. Anyway, whatever you're doing in your garden, your growing space, or your allotment, I hope it is going well. I know we want to rush and do things, but do take your time, you know, do what is best for you in the zone that you are growing in. And of course, there are some zones like Greta in Newfoundland where the zone of growing, you know, it's so tight that you need to get things away quite swiftly. So do have a look at Greta's video on seed sowing as well, because she lives in a very different zone to us and has got some really, really good advice for people in much is it less hardy zones, harder zones to grow in. Anyway, enjoy whatever you are doing in your gardens, your growing spaces and your allotments, and I will see you very soon. And in the meantime, I'm just going to look out here into the sunshine for a few minutes. See you soon. Bye.